the origins of photo manipulation, and Google's track record on services. This is Mac Voices. Today's Mac Voices is supported by Collide. Collide ensures only secure devices can access your cloud apps. It's zero trust, tailor-made for Okta. Book a demo today at collide.com/MacVoices. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Our conversation about photo manipulation wraps up with a classic example in every sense of the word. Then, do you really know how many Google services have been discontinued? Let's go back and let the panel do the talking.
I'm typing in our private chat, but I'm just going to say it out loud. The Cottingley fairies. People have not been critical about photos since photography's been a thing. So for people who don't know, the Cottingley fairies, it was a group of photos where the photographer took the photos they had and then superimposed these dolls, these fairy dolls, into the images. And for someone that knows what they're looking for, it's very obvious that these are two images stuck together. For people that don't know, with sophistication we have today, there's a likelihood that most people today would look at these and go, "That doesn't even look right. It looks kind of fake." But when they happened, people saw these and totally fell for it. Like really intelligent people fell for these and believed that the Cottingley fairies were a real thing.
People believe what they want to believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Cottingley fairy photos, they're cute and they're fun.
Yeah.
So even if you don't care about them from the historic hoax standpoint, check them out just because they're fun. I should probably get you a link, Chuck.
Yeah,
you already did.
Okay, you found it.
I pulled the Wikipedia, but there's probably a better collection. Of them,
that's probably good enough.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, at sometime in 10, 20, 30 years, maybe 2, 3, 4 years, people are going to look back at that Pope photo and say, "Yeah, come on, who could really take that seriously?" Maybe we will have increased our sophistication to that level by then. I don't know.
Well, I don't. When I looked at it just now, and I was like, okay, so the Pope's wearing a jacket. I mean, like the Jeff, your theoretical picture that you photoshopping me next to you, unless you're providing me with an alibi in some sort of trial, who cares?
You know what? For you, Jim, I would be happy to do that.
But the point is, if the stakes are high, then people will investigate and they'll look at the images closely and they'll look at other evidence and what else is new? That's always been the case.
Yeah.
And even eyewitness testimony is known to be very problematic, right?
Mm-hmm. Our memories are really messed up.
Yeah, so,
inaccurate tools.
So this is just another aspect to that. I mean, it's kind of probably a problem that and I think the reason why people now look at the Cottingley fairies and say they're not taken in because now it's like, oh yeah, well, this kind of stuff's easy to do with Photoshop. So you just assume that it's fake because we've seen those fakes all around. It would probably look at like photos of Sasquatch or Loch Ness Monster or what that people have taken seriously.
Well, those are real, Jim. I mean, come on.
How about photoshopping nudes of people? For a lot of people, it's like, well, the stakes aren't high because it's just some photos that someone made up and it's on some porn website somewhere. But for the people who are being faked in the images, that could be a really devastating thing. I know I'm taking this to an extreme now, but why not?
Jeff, you're not taking no, not at all, because we've had some of this is spilling over to a discussion we had a couple of weeks ago about deep fakes. And that was more the video, but the stills, I mean, the stills can be pretty darn convincing. I mean, some of them obviously look just like a head pasted on a body, but others, if it's done right and scaled and the angles are paid attention to, yeah, that could be you or me. And I know you guys were joking about it, but if a photo of me at a particular event across town can be faked to a sufficient degree, that provides me an alibi to get away with something on
or
this side
get
of
you
town.
in trouble for something when someone wants to get even.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, this technology is going to be used for bad things because we're humans.
Because people are jerks.
And
yeah.
So, there ultimately is no solution. There's no technological solution to people being evil.
Yeah.
That's not a technology problem.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to move us on again to a story that I don't want to waste a lot of time on because it's turned into a non-story. But while we were gone, Google decided to put a limit on the number of files. And then 2 days later, they said, oops, no, we didn't mean it. We're not going to do it.
They meant it, and they rolled it back because people freaked out so much.
Yeah. Well, I think in one of the articles I posted, some guy woke up and said, you need to delete 2 million files from your Google account. And it's like, what? Who thought this was a good idea?
Yeah.
Without more notice, especially.
Yeah. I mean, if they were going to do this and give people notice, like for example, Amazon has been sending me messages monthly for, I think, a year now, letting me know that I guess it's the end of next year. Right. All the files that I have on Amazon Drive are going to get deleted. Whatever. I think I put 3 there to test. Okay, that's one thing. But just imposing the data cap and not telling anyone about it, and you just wake up one morning and you find that that you're magically over a data cap that didn't exist an hour ago, that's a problem, and that's bad business.
Remember the days of don't be evil? Now it's more like we'll be evil as we can.
Yeah, you remember when they took "Don't Be Evil" off the wall in their headquarters? Yeah, I do.
Not like Nate ripping the "Believe" sign in half.
It's a lot like that. Yeah.
I guess when I looked at this, though, the thing that really caught my attention was that even if you were paying for the storage, so if I'm paying for the storage, do I really need to be concerned with how many files I've put in there to take up that storage?
Yeah. No, rules are rules, but they've changed the rules is the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, if they wanted to make a rule that you can only have a certain number of files, I mean, that's not unreasonable. There could definitely be costs to number of files beyond what the amount of space for the files is.
I'll buy that, Jim. But the thing that bugged me here is that they gave virtually no notice.
No, I agree.
Literally,
they changed. They changed the rules. That's the problem. The problem isn't that they shouldn't ever have a rule. If there's some good reason to have a limit on the number of files, I can understand that might be the case. But to retroactively do that and not even tell people, that kind of sucks. But
well, but to Jeff's point about Amazon, Amazon is giving Jeff plenty of warning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if that was going to be a problem for me because I was using Amazon's drive storage a lot, okay, fine. They have given me enough lead time that I can take care of the problem.
Right.
I think Google just looked at Elon and said, that's how it's done now.
But I mean, all joking aside, there's a reason I've been weaning myself off of Google services the last 10 years. They've become increasingly unreliable. You come to depend on a service, then just because it becomes less profitable, Well, it doesn't matter to them now, and they roll it back. And I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I definitely think you've got to be
you can't
very
trust them
careful
anymore.
about using any Google service. And I think any more of that happened a long time ago. Look at all the people that depended on Google Reader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good example. That's a real good example.
Or Google Hangouts, which were Zoom Hangouts before Zoom Hangouts, or Google Plus, or the list goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well, Google Voice is still around, but it's a shadow of its former
amazingly.
self.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brian, what do you mean like Stadia?
Yeah, that's
Stadia
another
was
thing that they
I don't even know
Go
what
ahead.
Stadia is.
That was
Stadia
their
is
game platform.
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, they really screwed some companies, game developers, in a big way with Google Stadia.
Mm-hmm.
It was a cloud-based video game service.
that
Okay.
wasn't that long ago.
No.
They killed it, I think, in January, and it has only been around for maybe 5 years, maybe.
It says 2019 to 2023, about 3 years.
Yeah, even that.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they made
Hmm.
a lot of the people whole who were using them, because I think they reimbursed them for, if they bought controllers and things like that, and the games. I think they paid people for it, but like Jeff pointed out, the developers, they just pulled the rug from out from under them.
Mhm.
I didn't know they killed Google surveys.
I didn't even know they had Google surveys.
For 10 years. Didn't you ever? I would get people send me fill out the survey,
Yeah, it was.
and it was a
Yeah.
Google survey all the time.
It's
Oh,
Google Forms now, isn't it?
Wait a minute, they killed Angular JS?
Yeah, for everyone that's
Jeez.
wondering, I dropped the gem into our chat. Killedbygoogle.com.
I have not. Okay, we got to look at this. Killed by Google.
And as you scroll through this, Chuck, you will
Oh
find
wait,
other things that that you knew about, and you're like, wait, that's gone. Or I remember the
I'm
very
also
short
finding a lot
time
of things
that I
like I
used
never
that.
heard of this.
Yeah.
I've been looking at this for like 3 minutes, and I'm only like 20% through it.
Mac Voices is supported by Collide at collide.com/Mac Voices. Clicking on the wrong link can cause you plenty of headaches if it's just you. But if it's your company, the possibility of clicking a wrong link is multiplied by the number of users, right along with the headaches. Your users don't mean to create a problem, but they have other things on their priority list. That's why Collide works so well for Okta users. You can get your entire fleet to 100% compliance. If a device isn't compliant and tries to log in, it can't. The user is provided with the information on what needs to be done. If they do it, great. If not, they're blocked. Immediate, helpful device compliance that secures your company. Without Collide, there's nothing to stop an unsecure device. With Collide, unsecure devices don't have a chance to cause issues. And this is all built to work seamlessly with Okta. Zero trust architecture and 100% device compliance. That means fewer support tickets and less frustration all around. Just what the doctor ordered. Visit collide.com/MacVoices to learn more or book a demo. That's Collide, KOLIDE.com/MacVoices. Collide.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Collide for supporting Mac Voices. I mean, part of me, there's the part of me that applauds Google for trying some of these things. And I would need to go through here and do a little bit of digging as to how long some of this stuff lasted.
But Chuck,
because
I
obviously-
don't applaud them because the Google process is to have good reviews and advance in the company. You need to innovate, and once you have done the innovation part, you don't get any sort of reward in the company for maintenance. So once something is out there, there's no incentive for people inside the company to maintain it long term. So projects are created, and new services and offerings will roll out all the time. But everything is on the chopping block at Google because there's a very high likelihood that within a couple years, whoever was championing the project is onto something else because they need to build up more points for a good review or a raise or a promotion.
If that is accurate, Jeff, and it certainly would explain a lot of the things I'm seeing here, because there are a lot of things that, to Jim's point, I either never knew about or that I remember looking at and saying, well, I don't think I really need that. But it also, it makes me start to say I want to rely a whole lot less on Google things like Ben's doing, because you can't afford to continually swap applications all the time.
Well, with surveys, they have Google Forms. I've used that, in the past. Microsoft does Microsoft Forms. So those survey companies, they're just got so costly. That's why people resort to these services.
Don't know. This has been a night of after being gone for a week, some stories just seem to group themselves together. I want to throw out two, since we were picking on Spotify a while back. Let's pick on them a little more. They shut down their live audio app, which is a little surprising to me, given the popularity of things like the live programming we're doing now, and that so many other platforms are trying to develop. Is this just a case of them, trimming their costs in a depression era, or do you see something deeper that they're just it seems like if they can't own or dominate in a market, they just decide we're not going to bother, or we're going to really downplay it a lot.
There you go. If it's not a moneymaker for them in a market, in an industry where every penny counts, then they're not going to do it. From a business perspective, I totally get it. From a consumer perspective, as someone that likes a feature, it totally sucks.
Yeah, but from a business standpoint too, here we go again. Just like with Google, they offer something, they pull me in, it's one more incentive for me to subscribe to their service, and now they're pulling it. So I have to wonder how soon they're going to pull other things that I might enjoy or might want to use.
And that's a fair question.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing about this, I think this is a byproduct of their big whiff on the podcast bet.
Yeah.
That cost a lot of money that they have to make cuts elsewhere because of.
Okay, that would make sense. The second article on relating to Spotify is that they're downplaying HomePod support. They promised to add AirPlay 2 yet again. We still don't have native support for the HomePod or HomePod Mini. And for once, Apple opened up to third-party streaming, and Spotify hasn't taken advantage of it. And yet Spotify does not manufacture a device, and at least that I'm aware of, and I'm not a Spotify user, that you can listen to their service on, that is made by them. I know there are plenty of others, but that is made by them. And this doesn't seem like, that would just seem like such a natural thing if you really want to start to try to compete with Apple, and you feel like you're slipping. Why wouldn't you want to play in Apple's sandbox head to head?
I can tell you that. It's because Apple's sandbox is so tiny for the smart speaker market that it's negligible. Like it's not worth investing the money in supporting HomePod. The Echo space, the Google speaker space, Roku, totally makes sense. But when you look at the overall smart home speaker market, I think Apple with the HomePod products is at like 2%.
Yeah.
Including the Mini? Is it that low with the Mini?
Mm-hmm.
It's a completely negligible player in the smart speaker market.
Where Sonos supports it. So you got Sonos in the Sonos app. I have it here on my Sonos product where I can, I can play Spotify from there, and all the other apps that you can add.
Yeah,
That's
and
third party.
Sonos has a reasonable market share.
I guess it goes against my grain, and this is a discussion we've had here about social media. That my version of social media is I want to be everywhere that you all are, if I possibly can, or as many places as you all are, instead of saying I'm limited to one or two.
Right.
And so, if I'm not a Spotify user, or if I'm a HomePod user, this just automatically discounts Spotify for me. I'm just,
I mean,
They're
the
bad.
thing is, Spotify whines all the time about Apple being some kind of monopoly,
Right.
but they're not putting their foot forward towards the users.
Doesn't seem
I
like
mean, I'm not using Apple Music as much of what Apple does. For me, it's a lot of the things that Spotify has not or has walked back.
then say the first part. I'm not sure I followed you there. I mean, are you using Spotify, or are you moving away from Spotify?
I switched from Spotify to Apple Music a number of years back.
Okay. Okay. And does any Spotify users here? Okay. Well, there you go.
I do have several friends that it is their preferred platform, and yeah, but no, I'm not using it.
Let me ask this: how many ex-Spotify users are here?
Oh, that's a fair question. Yeah.
I tried it, but I've always been Apple Music.
Okay. Ben, though, you brought up about Spotify whining about Apple being a monopoly, and yet there's a situation where Spotify could, Apple has opened it up, and Spotify hasn't taken advantage of it, yet they continue to whine.
Yep.
I guess that's another thing that bothers me about it. Just like, the gaming company that is screaming loudly about Apple being a monopoly and taking too much money while they're cashing ridiculously large checks.
Yeah.
So this Mac Voices live session finally concludes in the next edition of Mac Voices as the panel considers the open letter that was sent suggesting that AI research be at least paused. We also look at a new streaming music video service. That's next time on Mac Voices. I'm Chuck Joyner. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.